In the preclinical study that we performed, we had 3 surgeons, and we compared in a randomized fashion use of the neoClose device versus the Carter-Thomason trocar closure system to close trocar fascial defects. And the purpose of the study in the pigs was to look at the difference between how these fascial closures looked using neoClose versus the Carter-Thomason. So we compared 20 fascial defects closing with neoClose versus the Carter-Thomason, looking at how long did it take to do the closure, how far how deep the needle was inside the abdominal cavity, and then did it have any difference as far as ischemic effects or extra tension on the abdominal wall. And what we did was place these sutures in the abdominal walls, monitored the pigs, and then examined them weeks out from the procedure. And what we saw was it was easier to place the sutures with the neoClose device. We did them quicker. We closed the trocars more quickly using the neoClose versus the Carter-Thomason. The needle inside the abdomen was inside the abdomen for a shorter period of time, which we think potentially is a safety issue. And we also felt from looking at the pathology of the abdominal wall, there potentially is less ischemia and tension associated with using the neoClose device versus the Carter-Thomason needle. So we wanted to take those data and translate them further into a clinical trial, which is our next step. So what we intend to do is take human subjects now and do a randomized comparative trial on the bariatric surgery population comparing 12mm trocar closure. We're going to randomize to using Carter-Thomason versus neoClose on 2 port sites in every patient, and then look at these exact same effects. Look for how much time the needle is inside the abdomen, the time to close the trocar, the success of closing the trocar, and then comparing the clinical outcomes by looking for any evidence of trocar hernia, both symptomatically and with ultrasound in the patients postoperatively. In the preclinical trial, when we looked at these sites in the pigs, we saw potentially less ischemia associated with the neoClose device versus the Carter-Thomason, and we want to translate that into the clinical study by also looking at potential risks of hernias forming using ultrasound in the patients clinically, but also translating that and how does that affect with pain as well. So we're going to measure pain scores in patients comparing neoClose versus Carter-Thomason in the clinical trial and see if there's a difference in pain outcomes related to this potential tissue ischemia effect using a closed loop suture across the fascia versus the neoClose device where we oppose the tissue without a closed loop suture. This clinical study will begin hopefully within the next month to 2. We have full IRB approval and everything is set up to get going. We're hoping to recruit 70 patients based upon our surgical volume and the number of surgeons participating in the study. We're hoping to have the patients enrolled within the next 2 to 3 months after starting the study, and then we can start developing and analyzing the data early next year and hopefully have some data that people can take a good look at by this summer.